All right, we are wrapping up No Kings 2. We had a lot of fun today. We saw three highlights. We had a Trump guy who was going up and down the line harassing old ladies. Do you think that Kamala Harris was anointed? Really kind of aggressive guy. And we talked to him for like 30 minutes, which at least diffused him from bothering everyone in the crowd. Really unfortunate. We didn't really make much progress, but he went to it like there was a random black dude watching him, and he's like talking to this lady, and the black guy starts to say something, and he's like, "Are you an immigrant? Are you illegal? Are you even legal?" And it's just such a horrible thing to say, you know. And we had a good conversation, because if you talk to most people and you're very like, oh, hey, well, what you're saying is this, what I think is this, you know, there might be a middle ground if we can find it. You know, it feels like there's a tension between wanting to reduce crime, which is what you want, and, you know, if we agree that if we had no crime, that would be a totalitarian state, and we both want to kind of find a middle ground somewhere in the middle. Do you think there's a reasonable kind of discussion to be had about where exactly that ground lies? Do you think that any reduction in crime almost necessarily seems to imply an increase in state power, and that there's kind of a balance that we need to find here? Like, we can have a sophisticated conversation with someone who's actually, if you're talking nice and they're listening. So we had 3 of those back and forth. We did crime, we did trans, and we did another one. And then it was so unfortunate, because I said at the end of the conversation, I'm like, you know what, you're living for your values, you know, we disagree about a lot, I'm glad we found a lot of middle ground. You know, again, the goal is to move someone one step, to make them leave here thinking like some liberals are good, you know. Where are the bad liberals was the third one. He's like, liberals are so full of hate, liberals are so evil. I'm like, I don't see a lot of hateful, evil people here. Everyone seemed really nice. And he's like, yeah, that's true, but I'm talking about the bad ones. And I'm like, where are the bad ones? And he's like, well, they're not here. I don't know. You know, they're Ilhan Omar. Think about this lady. Think about. And I'm like, wouldn't the bad ones be here? Like, it seems like this is pretty representative of most Democrats. And then he switches to trans. But anyway, we had a great conversation with this guy. The last thing I say, I'm like, you're living to your values, and I'm trying to move him one step with this. And I'm like, you're living to your values, and the one thing you did today that I don't feel like lived up to the values that you want is like, you're a Christian, you want to be open and accepting, and you know, even when people are different of you, and you know, elevate them and be positive towards them and help guide them towards a positive outcome. You know, I glaze like this, whatever. And I'm like, I just feel like I would be a little disappointed, and it'd be worth reckoning with, and you know, I did say praying on, you know, because I do cosplay. I have a Catholic, you know, upbringing. So I do have Catholic privilege, okay? When someone is touting their faith, I get to go in. I'm like, me too, bro. Me too. We're the same. But I'm like, it's probably worth praying on, is like, you know, you told this guy who you'd only spoken to for 10 seconds, you know, if he was illegal, and that's going to stick with him. He's going to remember that for the next, you know, 10 years. He's going to think about that. Like, it's really going to impact him, and and that's going to reflect on your movement. They're going to think of you that way. And he probably isn't illegal. And he's like, and the guy immediately just loses it. And he's like, all the progress we made is just gone, because he feels attacked, which is super unfortunate. But eventually you have to confront, and it is what it is. It's the risk we run. But I think it was a good conversation. You know what? I'm just gonna keep ranting. I was about to restart the video, because I'm like, fuck, it's already been 3 minutes. I'll just post this one to the main channel. I'll clip something else for the BGG. What else happened? Oh, I met Chris. Chris is a cool liberal. Okay. You know, the first 2 liberals meeting in public in like, you know, we're in a little bit of a more left area. Anywhere around New York City. You know, Zohran Mamdani is our candidate, right? It's gonna be a little bit more left leaning. So, you know, we have the DSA, we have Indivisible. He's looking for other liberals. So we're talking, and he's like, you know, I forget what the first one was, but it was one of these takes where you kind of look at my outfit. Like, I have the American flag. I have I kind of look a little bit more Libby than lefty. I hope. He's the one who clocked me, and then he asked me like a probing question. He's like, oh, what do you think about? Oh, I don't know, like this economic thing. And I'm like, and I give the liberal answer, you know, and he's like. And then he does we go back and forth a couple more, and then he opens up. He's like, oh, you're a liberal, like a real proper, you know, like he's a fucking Georgist, right? Like, so he's big on tax and stuff. So anyway, he's been looking for liberal groups to join, and he's been disappointed by the more left sentiment and more elderly sentiment and lack of action in some of the groups that he's found in our area. So I invited him to DGGP, and hopefully he'll be doing our weekly calls to action. And then the third fun interaction, this one's crazy, is that there was a guy doing filming and YouTubing and recording, and I went over, I'm like, oh, hey, what are you recording? What are you working on? What are you thinking about? And I'm talking to this guy for a few minutes, and I'm like, oh, how big is your channel? And he's like, oh, I have 117K subscribers. What? Like, the top tiers are in like the couple 100,000, right? Like Destiny's in the 800,000. Like this guy's right underneath the top tiers. And we're just chit-chatting, and it's so funny. It's, you know, blessing and a curse, but he's like, I'm like, yeah, I work with Destiny. He's like, oh, you mean Sex Pestiny? And I'm like, oh, we're not really closely aligned. And then I shift. I'm trying to shift because I'm like, yeah, like I do all this work to I'm just really focused on beating Trump. We'll fight in the primaries. Don't worry, we'll fight in the primaries. But like the primaries are over. Let's team up for the general. What do you do to get people activated? Are you involved? Oh, progressive. You might not be interested in Unfuck America or in DGG politics, but Progressive Victory, you might want to work with them. And you know, they're kind of a more left-leaning group. They expelled all the liberals, so you'll love them. But I think this guy was pretty lost. We talked, whatever. We didn't make much ground once he knew I was a Destiny guy. He was super uninterested in the calls to action, but he did want to epically debate because that's the kind of people we are. So we talked for like 30 minutes about liberal versus lefty stuff, mostly focused on rent control, which I think is like the number one, you know, what is the word? If you want to figure out whether someone's pragmatic or, you know, I'm trying not to be too derogatory, but ideologically compromised. You know, you can't really be super pro rent control and have read anything about rent control for more than 30 seconds. It's almost impossible to Google rent control and find something positive that anyone has to say about it. So yeah, we just talked about that for a while. But yeah, overall, super fun protest. Like we had 3 big hits. Like those are boom, boom, boom. Really fun, exciting experiences for 2 hours. I mean, I got kind of blessed right outside my door, but yeah, that was a great time. I did a couple films. I'm gonna cut together some films. I asked people, why are you out here? 1 minute. And most people, you know, we're against authoritarianism. They just give some quick bullshit. Probably could find a more insightful question, but that's fine. I want to cut together all the same questions, so I didn't change it. And then the next one is, okay, I have a question for you. How many of the 10 largest protests in U.S. history do you think occurred under the Donald Trump presidency? And I'm getting like 3, 4, 5, hopefully 10, maybe 6, maybe 9, maybe all of them. 7 yesterday, 8 today. We're now up to 8 of the top 10 largest protests in U.S. history have occurred under a Donald Trump presidency. So that's going to be our fun little video that we post for propaganda purposes. We'll cut that together. But overall, super fun day. I mean, I have my cape today. So, I showed this off earlier, which will be in the beginning of this video. But a lot of people like the cape. I got a lot of pictures. There was a Spider-Man. You'll see in the propaganda thing. But there were a couple people in fun costumes. Scooby-Doo didn't want to do an interview. But I really, really like the trend of wearing the fun costumes because it defuses the Antifa super soldier narrative really well. So I think it's awesome. All right, that'll be No Kings 2.